Welcome to Canada's Entrepreneur, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen across Canada and deliver the news, trends, knowledge, and opinions from entrepreneurs and business influencers across the country. Hi everyone, I'm Phil Bliss, founder and CEO of Canada's Entrepreneur, coming to you today from Alberta. Nicolas is the founder and chief executive officer at Helcim. Nicolas was passionate about programming from a very young age, and he's launched a series of companies, including a web design firm, a 3D sales platform, and a local social media website, before turning his attention to his idea of an online credit card processing company with a built-in shopping cart. His goal is to deliver a better payment experience and better tools to merchants who just want to run their business. Today, Helcim serves thousands of merchants in Canada and the United States and has built a reputation for being a friendly and transparent payment processor. Nicolas was the lead developer on the company's first software launch, Helcim Commerce. He has been recognized for his contributions to the payment industry and technology as the EY Entrepreneur of the Year Prairies Technology Overall category winner in 2018, and is a member of the Avenue Calgary Top 40 Under 40 class of 2019. So Nick, welcome to Canada's Entrepreneur. Great to see you. And as I normally do, before we get too deep into the conversation, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got here, and why you founded Helcim?
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast. A quick thing on the personal side for myself. I was born in Texas, but I moved to Montreal when I was 1 year old. So I really grew up French in Quebec, and then I moved to the prairies when I was 12. So I like to say I'm a Texas French Canadian, which is just a mix at this point.
You're Canadian as well from both sides, so Quebec and Alberta. That's kind of cool. I like.
Yeah, we've kind of seen kind of the triangle of North America. And in terms of the business, I've always been into computers, self-taught computer programmer, just kind of fell in love with computers, fell in love with building things. I was always like a big Lego nerd growing up. I still am, and kind of fell in love with small business. And you kind of put those things together, and somehow I ended up in the payments industry. But it's kind of like some of the early things that got me there.
Okay. Well, what's so special about the Helcim technology, and why should people take a look at it and maybe change to it? Why did you build it? There's got to be something there that you see that other things don't have, kind of thing.
We certainly, we're a technology company, taking a step back, at our core, Helsum's a payments company. So we allow small businesses of all sizes to be able to accept payments. We compete with some big names, like whether that's Square or Moneris or Stripe and some of
Yeah.
the big companies out there. We can talk about the technology, but ultimately, our mission is to be the world's most loved payments company. And it's really at the core of why people switch to us. So yes, we're super proud of the technology we built, and our smart terminals and our affordable pricing and blah 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 blah. But you really those are super
Mhm.
important. That's why people switch to us. But I think at the very core, who we are as a company, it's that mission to be the world's most loved. And it's an oxymoron in the payment space. Like, nobody loves their payments company. It's like a necessary kind of evil that you have to have. And we really try to flip that on its head and be like, what if your payments partner was somebody that was one of your favorite providers, and really somebody that you trusted and you could get great service from and had great technology. And what would it mean for small businesses if that's the kind of relationship they had with their payments company? And that's really the root of it. So we can talk about everything else, but that's the core of who we are as a company and why people switch to us.
That's cool. So I got to mention it. Where are you with tariffs, and how does it affect things for you for this segment of the business.
Yeah, I mean the madness that is happening with this trade war and tariffs. I mean, we for the most part, because we're a financial service and we're a technology business, we're not going to be as impacted as some of our small business customers. I mean, we have hardware. We have our smart terminal, for example. So we do that's manufactured by a great partner of ours in Taiwan. So
Mhm.
it won't impact the Canadian market, but a big part of our market is also in the U.S. market, and bringing that hardware into the market is just going to be more expensive, and that's unfortunate. It's going to impact all of our competitors, whether if you're buying a machine from Square or Clover or Helcim, all prices for hardware in the US is going to go up. Um, I think we'll be able to manage. I feel a lot more pain for so many small businesses that are a lot more reliant on selling goods and international manufacturing, and are going to feel the pain of this. In my opinion, it doesn't really tariffs in small portions can have their place in the economy, but at this scale and at this speed of rollout, I don't think it's helping anyone. And I don't think anybody is cheering up and down and happy about what's happening right now.
Hmm. Another thing is, why did you develop it in Alberta? I mean, you are in Alberta, but you've lived across Canada, you've lived in the States. Uh, why not go to, you know, California or to do this? Why stay in Calgary?
I mean, the very easy answer is that it's home. So, I mean, everybody wants to support their hometown. Everybody wants to build something great where they live. I've learned to actually see that Calgary actually has both Canada and Calgary have some amazing advantages that allow you to be even more competitive. Um, I mean, for example, like Calgary is got the youngest. It's the youngest population of a major city in Canada, the highest STEM concentration and highest engineering talent in Canada. You have a ton of young, talented people that are looking for opportunity. And Calgary's tech scene is growing quite a bit, but it's still not where it needs to be. It's still, like 5, 8 years behind Toronto.
Mhm.
So these young people are looking for opportunities, and we really wanted to create a company that would give them those opportunities. Like the median age at our company is 29 years old, so I feel like I walk around with a gray beard, and I'm like the grandfather of like the beard. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be throwing stones, but so it's a wonderful place to build a business. It's there's 160 of us. I hope we get to 1,000 and beyond.
Mhm.
And so I don't think it started from necessarily from a strategic place. I've learned to discover the strategy behind it. It really started from just it's home, and we want to do something great for our city.
It's a good reason. A good reason.
Yeah, I think so.
So, what's the three most important steps in your journey, your entrepreneurial journey with Helcim so far? I mean, you building a pretty decent organization at this point.
You know what? Maybe on the personal side, on the entrepreneurial side, I mean, you have to really look back at some early steps. I mean, when I moved from, dad packed up the family and said, "We're moving to Alberta for work," and I was 12 years old. And part of I want to say the negotiation, but no 12-year-old negotiates. It's more just like in my head, there was a negotiation, and it was like, you get a computer. And so when we moved here, it's a new place, new language, but I got a computer and I really got into computers, I started
Yeah.
coding, self-taught programming. And that was probably the first kind of major step towards an entrepreneurial journey, is getting that computer and really getting into software development. Number two, that led me to starting to build. This is like the late 90s, early 2000s, and
Mhm.
building websites is what you did, right? So I'm
Yeah,
15
yeah,
years old, and that was my first kind of step into entrepreneurship. And I would go to the small, I would go to my barber shop and the gym and the computer store that I would frequent, and just go to them and be like, "Hey, you have no website. Can I build you a website?" And to my surprise, they would say yes. And sometimes on the spot, you'd walk away with like a $500 check, and it's like, "Build me a website." And I mean, as a 15-year-old, you felt so empowered.
Mhm.
Um, and that's part of, that was probably the second step towards that entrepreneurial journey. And it's also where I started falling in love with small business. because they were risk takers and they were willing. If you're willing to just give a $500 check to a 15-year-old kid that walks in and says, I'm going to make you a website, I'm like, these are my people and I'm so grateful. And I just felt like a camaraderie, right? And then that business kind of led to somehow payments where I'd build an e-commerce website. They didn't know how to put payments in there, and then you kind of saw an opportunity. So I think that'd probably be like the third step in the journey that is me as an entrepreneur that ultimately, you look back 20 plus years and go, oh yeah, those probably were the critical moments that somehow made it happen.
So, you said about the service thing, but, you know, I just want kind of cover this a little bit earlier, but want a little bit more clarity on it. Why are retailers choosing Helcim? I mean, you're in a growth period, and you said that is it the customer service and things like that that you said was so darned important, or the product? Well, what I mean,
Yeah,
why are you going through
I
this
think I
growth?
glossed over it there a little earlier. So, I mean, just giving you we have three core pillars to our brand and
Yeah.
why people switch to us. Pricing transparency. It's really what we've learned is that yes, we have a pricing affordability, we have great rates, but it's really about that transparency because the industry is notorious for hidden fees. It's again like nobody loves their payments companies. It's there's a lot of maybe not so honest sales practices that happen. Everybody's kind of feeling stuck in a contract with the bank and so on. So our first pillar is like, let's just make it as transparent and honest as we can and be the good guys in a not so great industry, right? That's the first pillar. That's a big reason why people like build that trust and switch to us. The second one is about human customer service. So again, I think that if this is your, payment processing is your cash flow, it's really important to, if you're a dental clinic or an auto mechanic or an HVAC installer, it doesn't matter. Like that credit card that you run or that bank deposit that you took, like it matters to you. It's your cash flow. It's the heart of your business. And if there's a problem or something you don't understand, there's something that needs to be fixed, you want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody real. And it's unbelievable in the payments world that you have companies that have such terrible customer service and they almost forget, you see that a little bit with technology companies where it's like, companies, customer service is like a nuisance to their scaling. And it's like, no, this is people's cash flow. This matters. Like if you're going to build long-term trust, you really got invested. So we invest in it. We're super proud of it. We have an amazing reputation for it. And then the third pillar is really about a great, easy to use technology. So that's where kind of like the technology tech piece of our company comes in, where it's like,
Mhm.
it's easy to sign up. There's no paperwork. There's lots of great software built into the experience. We make it feel really, seamless. So you combine those three things, and it sounds obvious, you know, pricing transparency, great customer service, and ease of use of a technology. And you're like, well, yeah, of course. And it's like, well, that wasn't that obvious in the payments world, apparently. If we just put those three things together, we service over 20,000 merchants. We're signing up thousands a month, and it's really, it doesn't sound like that secret of a formula, but putting those three things together is hard, and it made it work.
What what's best about being an entrepreneur versus being an employee?
I mean, it's funny as I think my answer, some years ago would have been like not having a boss and like the freedom that comes with it. Now that we're a much more serious business, we have a board of directors, we have large investors. I very much feel like I have bosses, so I think that has
Yeah, yeah,
left.
yeah.
I think that the ability to create and have, you come up with an idea, not just a founding idea for your business, but an idea about a new go-to-market strategy or an idea about a product or an idea about a campaign or whatever is the idea of the day that comes up, and then sit down with the team and say like, what do you guys think? And what's your idea on this? And then make something happen from nothing. And that short cycle and that short amount of barrier to that kind of creation process is something that is really precious and not everybody gets to have on their day to day. And if you're somebody that thrives in being a builder and being creative, it's the only way to live.
So yeah, that's really good. I like that. What's the key ingredient that makes it happen?
I mean, I think it's funny as an entrepreneur, I think you have to have, um, there has to be enough confidence, and I'm almost like audacity to think that somehow you can do things differently. Um, and fearlessness to actually like take that leap. But it's almost like, those sounds like great traits, but they also have to come with almost like a I don't want to say a lack of judgment. That's probably the wrong terminology, but an unrealistic look at like risk.
Mhm.
And so, I think people look up to entrepreneurs sometimes and say like, oh wow, like, like look at the risk that they're taking. I actually think that that's, is that a bug or a feature? Like I think that there's something a little bit, tweaked in the brain that goes like, oh no, it's doable, and of course we could do it. And and sometimes it becomes, a flaming failure.
Mhm.
And a more rational person would say like, why would you do that? This is obviously a terrible idea, and you obviously didn't have the means to go and achieve it. So it takes a little bit of a tweak in the brain to be able to, both have the guts to do it, but also almost like have a misunderstanding of certain risks, but then it ultimately allows you to take those risks.
So, you know, coming back to the retail side of things, and with AI and all this kind of thing, where do you see retail technology, which is you really, on the payment side, in the next 5 years?
I mean, it's interesting. So what's amazing about being a payments company, so I don't know, I don't go to many cocktails party, but let's just say I go to a cocktail party and I say I work in payments. And I think
Yeah.
people, I think, might like roll their eyes and be like, oh, that sounds boring. But I think what's amazing about being in payments is that you really get a front row seat at the world of business and the world of commerce, right? We get to deal with anything from a tire manufacturer to a baker to a restaurant to everything in between. And it's an amazing position of privilege. And what's also really unique about that position is you get to be, because everybody needs payments and everybody needs a great, whether it's a web-based solution or a smart terminal or that piece of hardware, you kind of get to be that catalyst into helping them digitize the rest of their business. So, everybody needs that terminal, that smart terminal at their desk. And all of a sudden you can start introducing a lot of technology to these businesses to make them, um, more efficient and higher producing. And I think AI is going to be only, it's in general, it's only going to accelerate that in business. But I actually think payment companies are really privileged and well positioned to be able to introduce that to small business owners and be like, look, you're already dealing with invoicing workflow and creating customers and creating campaigns. Like you can already do a lot of things with our tools. What if we put an AI layer on top of that to, help you accelerate those tasks and make some things automated? So I'm super excited for what it means, and to be the one of the companies that can bring that to small business owners, because they need a champion.
So moving on to the challenge side, because as an entrepreneur, that's a big part of it. What's the greatest challenge you've faced to date in the business to date?
I mean, there's certainly a lot. Maybe a more immediate or fairly recent examples. A few years back, we part of the service that we offer is we bring hardware, right? So you think about like a terminal at the front desk, accept payments and so on. And we had found this good manufacturer in Hong Kong. They were a great partner. We had worked with them, and we are working with them with our, on our next generation hardware, which was
Mhm.
going to be their smart terminal. We hadn't brought that to market, and we were pretty far down the process. And then we lost communication with our key manufacturer, and we're like, what is going on? Right. And, we were in the middle of this big project. And it turns out we got notification shortly after that, one of our biggest competitors in the world, which is Stripe, which people know in
Mhm.
California, had bought that manufacturer and instructed that manufacturer to no longer do business with us. So that was definitely like in all my time at this company, that was probably one that left a pretty big scar, both in terms of like being keenly aware of, our competitors, and it's definitely, it can be a knife fight, and also just the sheer importance, that you can have on certain vendors and to take those seriously. So ultimately, that sent us in a pretty good of a spin to try to find a new partner. We kind of went around the world. We ended up finding an amazing partner in Taiwan. We learned our lessons in terms of having better contracts and relationships and structures in place to make sure that events like this don't happen. And ultimately, I think we landed on a better partner, so it worked out. But that was one of those key moments that really that certainly keep you up at night as an entrepreneur. And I'm there's so many other entrepreneurs that have had similar stories like that, where it's just like these near-death experiences where you really learn a lesson, and you're lucky to get to the other side.
Yeah, and you keep learning them, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Speaking about lessons, I mean, and mentorship, what's the best piece of advice that you've received that you carry around in your hip pocket kind of thing, that it's always there?
There's so one of them that really sticks with me. It's a mentor of mine. His name is Dave McJanet. He's a Canadian expat that now works in Silicon Valley. And the great advice he gave us was, your job is to identify what stage your business is in. And for example, you'll be reading a book about Google and the management techniques. You're like, that's amazing. You try to implement that and it fails. And you're like, but it sounded so good. What happened? And it comes down to like right advice, wrong phase. So you really have to like constantly look at your business, be like, what phase am I in? And then what advice applies to that phase? Because everybody's got advice out there. Everybody's got, you're reading books. There's so many frameworks. There's so many ways that you can operate your business, but you really have to match it to the phase of your business. And then when you have a mismatch, that's when you're either too early or too late and it doesn't line up. So I think that's something that I think it's like advice on top of advice that I've carried with me, because it really allows you to operate, I think, in a better way.
I really like that. Let's have some fun, because that's been lots of good stuff in there for people to listen to. Let's just ask you some what we term rapid fire questions.
All right, I'm ready.
That you can just shoot back at me. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead?
That one's pretty easy. I'd be woodworking, and I do it. I do it in my spare time when I have some, just making furniture, and I love building things with wood.
That's good. What book are you currently reading, and what would you recommend the audience to read, listen to? It could be a podcast as well. I mean,
So actually, I'm going through a book right now called Bird by Bird, by Anne Lamott. I think it was written in the early 90s. It's one of the most famous books for how to be a good writer. And she is, hilarious and amazing. And it's just like, I'm just like devouring it. It's amazing.
Are you a morning or a night person?
Very much a night bird. I'm a night owl through and through.
You're a night owl. Oh, that's the much smaller. Just about everyone's a morning person. It's kind of
No, I'm the creative brain at like 10 o'clock. That just when you wanted like your brain to go to quiet down so you can get ready for bed. That's when everything fires and all the ideas come out, and I'm just trying to keep up with it.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be, and why would you choose it?
I think it'll be builder. I think it's like whether I'm building a business, I'm building code, I'm building Lego, I'm building wood. I just love building.
Yeah, that's cool. What's keeping you up at night?
Right now, my 11-month-old son. So
Well done. That's a good thing.
I'm a new father, and I'm loving every moment of it. But the sleep is definitely an interesting challenge.
It's been a lot of fun, Nick. That was really, really good session. Lots to learn about Helcim and about yourself. It's been really, really interesting. Thanks for coming on for Canada's Entrepreneur. Excuse me.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Really appreciate it.
Wow, what a super session with Nick. I learned a lot about the payments business, and I loved his entrepreneurial drive. That's what it's really all about. I'm Phil Bliss. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on the canadasentrepreneur.com website, and subscribe on our YouTube channel as well, or in any of the major podcast channels. Thanks for listening to Canada's Entrepreneur, where you meet the entrepreneurs that are driving Canada's economy. See you soon. We talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen across Canada and deliver the news, trends, knowledge, and opinions from entrepreneurs and business influencers across the country.